You know, I love being me. I don't wish I was anybody else. I have like this thing. I don't know what it is. I didn't always have it, because when I was growing up, I grew up in like a very scattered household. My pops was whatever. My pops was like locked up my whole life, and my mom was like struggling with drugs. And even though I had a pretty suburban lifestyle, I grew up very, what's the word? I was like a big pussy, you know? I was like very eager to get into a fight. I was never a bully, but I was like outwardly defensive, very armored personality type. And I was very shy, very timid, intimidated. You know, I kind of would just mask it with strength and aggression that was like entirely made up in my head. Like I used to just imagine myself being thinner than I was. Like that was like a thing that I would use to like prop up my self-esteem. But in the last, number of years, I developed this thing where, and I've talked about this before, where I'll be like down and out on a Monday, and by like Wednesday, I'm like, I'm like, yeah, nice, I'm feeling myself, and I try again, and like I said, this is something I've talked about before, right? Like step on the scale Friday, you're cruising at a goal weight. You step on the scale Monday, and even though you behaved yourself through the weekend, you're 47,000 pounds heavier, and you're like, what did I do? And there's really no stopping it. I don't mean specifically like the weight fluctuation, which is totally natural. I mean, there's really no stopping my ability to just like rebound. I do really well having time to reflect. I have an easy time being honest, open, sincere, communicative, revealing myself, showing myself, being transparent and honest. But at the same time, like when I do so, it makes me like retreat and clam up. So it's tough for me to do these videos, especially like knowing that like my wife will watch them, or like maybe some family, like my brother or something. Because it's challenging for me, But yeah, so today, I woke up at 1. I had a very good day eating yesterday. Eating was totally under control. I had a lot of cravings, but just, ate light throughout the day. A couple yogurts, couple rice cakes, couple protein shakes, nice big old fat smoothie. Smoothie recipe was excellent. I did 2 cups of frozen sweet cherries, 2 scoops of the MRE banana nut bread protein powder, 1 whole banana, a little bit of xanthan gum, vanilla extract, banana extract, pinch of salt, a little bit of sweetener, a ton of water. It was like, an entire blender. What's that, 72 ounces? Finished the night with some watermelon, a couple dates, and like literally 3 spoonfuls of white rice, and went to bed. I was for sure craving food going to bed, but made it through. And then I woke up at 1. Normally I get up at 3 a.m., hit the gym, but I woke up at 1, starved, man. Had a couple rice cakes with some of that Melinda's mango habanero jam on it. I had a couple servings of dates, a big glass of orange juice, packed my protein powder for the gym, finished my session, slammed my shake, and then just was like so revved up off the carbs. I already got my 10,000 steps for the day. I just like was running on the treads comfy, just comfy. I feel good today. I feel, I would say I still genuinely feel lost, but some new things that have me thinking quite a bit. about just like weight fluctuations and binge eating, and it goes out to someone that I've been in the comment sections with, arguing, even though they're very supportive one moment and just like incredibly fucking direct and condemning the next, is red tape. I'm pretty sure it's a woman. I don't remember 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's a woman. If I'm wrong, my bad, dude. Whatever. But them was like talking about salt issues, and I'm like looking at, when I was doing the fruit fast, or I'm looking at when I've been really meticulous with meal plans, and I'm looking at times I've done water fast, and I'm looking at the amount of times that I pee in a day, and it lines up with this idea that, I'm going through the week and I'm blasting fluids to get through the day to sort of mitigate hunger. I'm peeing like crazy, and the scale trends down at a very rapid rate. And then eventually I don't drink as much, or I have some bad food, or I have some good food and it's very salty, and there's, wild rebound. And what if so many of these cravings really are coming from just being like sodium deficient? It's a very interesting thought, that sodium could be playing that role, because when I look at when I was like 10 days into the fruit fast, and I was totally like satiated off the amount of food I was eating, I was really struggling with the mental obsession of food. Not actual hunger, but the mental obsession of it, and specifically for savory things. And then once I would have them, like some steamed white rice, or some roasted veggies, or some kimchi or pickles, it definitely was very satisfying in a way that I appreciated it, but it sort of would begin this roller coaster ride of like scratching that itch over and over. And so I think I need to maybe play a little bit more with bumping up salt throughout the day, just sodium, because I get in so much potassium throughout the day. I get in a lot of magnesium. A couple nights a week I'll take a huge dose of magnesium glycinate before bed, and dietarily I get a lot of that stuff, but I really don't get a lot of salt. And not only do I not get a lot of salt, but I really crush fluids. Interesting idea, something to certainly think about. At the same time, right, I don't want to think about none of this stuff no more. I've been doing it for years. I heard once this idea that for people that get weight off, the real barrier isn't like the first year. It's actually keeping it off for 5 years. And I'm into my 4th year now. Next month will be 4 years that I've been at the gym, but January 1st, 2026 is going to be 5 years since I started this whole thing. And I'll tell you, the fatigue around engineering, re-engineering, developing, redeveloping, planning, strategizing, I wouldn't quite put it at soul crushing, but I would put it at ass chapping level of stress. And there's really no getting around it, because like I said, I have this thing that, like, I might be down on Monday, but by Wednesday I'm back in the game. As like outright depressed as I am, it's Wednesday and I'm back in the game, and like my brain's like strategizing and building new thought structures and revving myself up for another attempt. And I understand that this is like a winner's mentality. You got to be able to take a shit ton of rejection, a shit ton of loss. You got to be really willing to put yourself out there, take risks. But at what cost, right? It's tough. It is tough. Yeah. I always kind of get to the end of a tangent and I'm just like, okay, yeah, have a nice day. Hit the button. I don't know where to go with this, but I do know that I feel better today. I'm very appreciative for my family, my friends, for you guys. A lot of really awesome comments yesterday, a lot of really awesome things to think about, a lot of things to make me really reflect on. And now that I've said all this, I'm ready to close my clamshell and retreat for the day and go do some work, be a construction guy.